Just wait till it pops up.
Yeah.
Well, good evening once again, and welcome to Monday night, 8 o'clock. And we have the ref's opinion, and this is where we discuss all things refereeing, be it yellow cards, red cards, given, some not given, and penalties, etc., all things refereeing. So if you'd like to make a comment, please do so. There's a little thing there on your screen where you can make a comment or you can ask a question, either of which we'd love to hear from you. Now, I'm joined once again by former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, former head of the PGMOL, and the man responsible for introducing goal line technology, Keith Hackett. Good evening, Keith, and thanks for joining me.
Delighted. Good evening.
We had a very, very, very strange incident in the Chelsea game over the weekend. When I saw this first, where the referee is completely surrounded by Chelsea players, I thought, no, this has to be AI generated, has to be some kind of a funny or thing. And I didn't see the game, but you're telling me it actually happened, where the referee was in the middle of the Chelsea huddle. I can't believe it.
Well,
now I saw the photographs, and they're all over social media, and I've had lots of people phoning me and texting me and asking me, did this actually happen? And I said, I'll have to check it out. But you actually saw it.
Absolutely. What was happening was referee Tierney had put the ball on the centre circle spot and was preparing for the kickoff. I mean, if you like, a sector of Chelsea players apparently have done this before, come to the halfway line and had a huddle. And what happened is,
most teams are doing nowadays, they're having their own huddle, but in their own half of the field of play.
Yeah, but Chelsea have this thing, or have done it previously on the centre circle. Now, I get that stopped. The Premier League have got to get in and say to Chelsea, in your own half, not on the centre circle, breaking into the opponent's half. So I think they have a duty and a responsibility to ensure that this doesn't happen again. So Tierney was stood at the side of the ball on the centre spot. Now, I don't know why, but he did. A number of players gathered around him and then closed off the circle. And I mean, at that point, I think at that point, anybody with a modicum of common sense and knowledge about refereeing would pull out a yellow card, find a captain, and give it him. I mean, he did nothing. He looked bemused. He looked like all authority wilted away from him, and it was not a good look for the referee.
But didn't he make any attempt to break out of that circle or tell the players to go away? He just stood there.
Yeah.
I mean, he has the authority to tell the players, move away, go find your own space. This is where the ball kicks off to start.
Well, I mean, and you know, when you look at the replay clips, one of the Chelsea players, it might have been Cole, I don't know, had his arms on the shoulder of the referee. I mean, I just, you know, I think it has hit the headlines today, but I think this is more serious than just an amusing, unusual, bizarre incident. The cynicism that comes into my thoughts are, one, what are the PGMOL going to do about this? The away fans think they bought the referee, and you know, you and I are constantly getting people talking about the credibility and integrity of refereeing in the Premier League, and then I think to myself, you know, Tierney's at the older end of the group. He might be coming up for retirement at some point. I wonder if he's got a book on the go, because he's got a wonderful photograph for the front page. That'll sell the book.
I certainly know from my time refereeing in South Africa that any sign or indication that would appear to show that you're siding with one team or the other would cause havoc. Now here, the referee is right in the middle of one of the team's huddle, and they have these huddles all the time, which they're entitled to do, but in their own half of the field of play. But this is at the center circle where the referee was waiting for the tip off or and these guys gather. Now, I think there should be a really serious sanction on Chelsea for that, because I think that makes the referee look very, very foolish. I'm just noticing there are people joining us all the time. So what we're talking about is the incident at the Chelsea game where the referee was completely surrounded by Chelsea players in their huddle. That's what we're talking about. So we'll continue on. Certainly the Premier League or somebody should do something about that, because it was made to look make the referee look very, very foolish.
Absolutely.
And not in control.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've had another one of those weekends where I don't think it's been a good weekend for referees.
you and I say this nearly every week.
Yeah.
And rightly so.
We had Andy Madley, who was officiating Arsenal, and Keane brought Havertz down inside the penalty area with what was a trip. It was it was clearly a foot contact that brought the player down. Yeah. It was not a dive. The referee gave nothing. It's a clear penalty. I honestly think, it's a clear penalty kick. It's a foul. VAR, I'm then waiting. I'm waiting for VAR to come in. Doesn't come in. And I'm going, have I missed something here? And of course the replays come and you can see the boot coming into contact with the opposition. This is a penalty kick and a red card offence. There's no doubting about it. And I've gone, how can a referee miss that? Now, one of the things we talked about before, although I don't think this applied to this referee personally, is how you can actually concentrate waist down and forget about waist up, or you're concentrating waist up looking for holding and pushing offences, and waist down you get the trip. So did the referee concentrate on only one half of the body to completely miss what was a very easy decision? So you had a foul that should have had a penalty kick that should have resulted in Dogzo, very clear offence. And I watched Ref Watch this morning. I don't watch it every week, but my friend and colleague, I was his former boss, Dermot Gallagher, who I've criticised on occasions, is a lovely guy. Dermot is one of the nice guys in the world. Doesn't like criticising his colleagues. Today, admitted that this was a foul and it was a penalty. Didn't discuss the red card, but he admitted it.
Can we just come back to that, Keith, in a moment? I'm just getting comments coming in now. This is one from George. I can't pronounce his surname, but he says, I believe all that you both say, the best of the best too. Not sure what you mean there. And here's one from Don Harris. He says, this is how the jokes are starting now. Ring of roses. Well done, Don. Very good.
That's what it looked like. Well said, Don.
George came back and he said, correct. A ring of rosy, yeah, pocket full of posies, yeah. Remember that?
Amazing.
Just go back to the Paul Tierney one, and we'll come back to Thomas Bramall in a second.
Yeah, sure.
How long did the ring of roses, how long did that take?
probably a
They
minute.
take about a minute, don't they?
I wasn't timing it. Do you know these things when they're so unusual? Seconds can look like minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
And I don't know whether the brain plays tricks on you, but from my perspective, it stayed with me for 10, 15 minutes. I couldn't get it out of my mind. The images that I'd seen were bizarre. I think George has summed it up. Ring a Roses is absolutely spot on.
Sorry, that was Don's comment.
Yeah, but because that's what it looked like. It was really, really poor.
And just trying to get this in my head now, Keith. I'm sorry, we'll go back to Thomas Bramall in a minute. Did he actually wait there until the huddle broke up?
Yeah.
Did he not make any attempt to break out of that huddle?
No.
Or whistle, tell the guys to get out of the way?
No.
Then I blame him.
His body language. His body language was like a rabbit in headlights.
Yeah.
And you know, we're talking about a mature, very experienced referee. Let's make no mistake, Tierney, he may have seen the best side of his career as a referee, but you know, he's a common sense guy. He doesn't lack authority. I was just like shouting at the screen, saying, "Come on, Paul, do something."
Yeah.
And it was the worst look that you could have as a referee, you know. And then in come the sort of live chat, if you like, on the social media side into my inbox from around the world, sort of saying, "What is happening here?" And you do say, "You've seen it. Is it AI generated?"
Well, this is exactly what Don Harris is saying. He said it was so bad, my daughter thought it was. Let I just get this thing out. His daughter thought it was AI or fake.
Yeah, and that's always the thing that we've got to be mindful of when we're dealing in social media. But I mean, obviously, we're going out live where we don't want to castigate referees. We say this almost on a weekly basis. But when you've got your senior elite referees, paid professional referees, earning six-figure sums, your expectation as a fan, as a manager, as a player, is that you're going to deliver week in, week out, a top-class performance. And as I say, you've got Madley not giving a penalty and a red card. I can tell you that there was an incident in the Liverpool game where Van Dijk put his arm and hand.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Did we finish? No, we didn't finish with Thomas Bramall, who had given a yellow card. And I just noticed a comment that was suggesting that if Thomas Bramall had known or had realized or remembered that he had given the first yellow card, that even though the second incident may have required a yellow card, he probably wouldn't have given it, because then he would have had to issue a red. Has that ever crossed your mind with referees that you've been coaching and mentoring, that, well, I've already given a yellow card, so don't want to give another one because that's a red card? Do you think that goes through some of their minds?
I think that certainly in the discussion that I used to have at the PGMOL with referees was that we used to talk about orange. Now, let me make it quite clear. A yellow card is very clearly defined within the laws of the game. Let me also make it clear that this challenge by Thomas Bramall was, in my opinion, a foul, but it was not reckless. It was a careless challenge. And therefore, for me, even if, we talk about that particular incident, I believe that yellow card that he gave was incorrect. Now, the influence I think that's placed on referees over the history of time here in England is at the elite level is we want to see for a second yellow a nailed on yellow. We don't want any doubt about it, because there's no appeal at this current stage, no appeal on a second yellow, no appeal on a yellow card. What you don't want is an incorrect. And I've had that. I've had situations where the referees come into my office on a Monday morning and said, Keith, I want to tell you my second yellow, I've had a look at it on video, I've got it wrong. And even though they admit that they've got it wrong, the Football Association, the disciplinary panel, would still treat it as a yellow. They wouldn't. The referee wasn't allowed to withdraw that yellow card. So that's the process behind the scenes. And I think there's some truth, realistically, that if you're going to issue a second yellow, it's got to be nailed on. And I think that there was no doubt in my mind that Bramall came in very quick with a yellow, and then took an age and had to wait to be told by the players that this player had already had a yellow card. At which time there's a conversation, and then eventually a very clever Leeds player comes up to the player that's going to get at some point going to get the red, and pulls him away from the scene. So he actually said, come away, the referee will have to look for you. So that was going off as well.
George and Don seem to be having a good old conversation here, but just let me remind you, you're watching The Ref's Opinion. We go live every Monday night, 8 o'clock UK/Irish time, and we talk all things refereeing. I'm getting lots of comments here, so if you would still like to make a comment or ask a question, you're more than welcome to do so. But George and Don seem to be having a conversation here. Keith, they're taking over our show.
No problem.
George said, referees these days forget the law book at home. Bring it in your mind to any game. Not sure what you mean there, George.
Yeah.
Don follows up and he says, only this is, the Chelsea players have been allowed to surround the referee for years, disputing his decisions. And just one more from
but not the full circle.
No, not the full circle.
And he's quite right to make that observation. And let me come in on the defensive refereeing, where 3 or more players surround the referee. There are many instances where that is reported to the disciplinary panel, and fines and suspensions are applied. So let me make it clear that you might not see action on the referee with the yellow cards in those situations when he's surrounded, but disciplinary action is often taken.
Okay. I wonder, did you see, Keith, recently there was a match in South America, I think it was Argentina, where 23 red cards were issued. Did you see that story?
No,
and some of the players were complaining. They said that the referee didn't show them a red card. And I must commend the disciplinary committee, because they said he didn't have a chance because you guys were surrounding him. So they looked back at video footage and identified all the culprits and the coaching staff and whoever else was involved. But apparently that's not the biggest one. Some time ago, I think 2011, 26 red cards were issued. So it seemed like it must have been a complete brawl. We mentioned Andy Madley and that one. Yeah, the one with Thomas Bramall, did he actually issue a red card then?
Eventually.
The second yellow card.
Yes. And but he now again, I think the learning point here to any referee, remember that Graham Paul issued 3 yellow cards in a World Cup game.
Yeah.
So again, think carefully as referees about your administration. Now, some will write the name of the player that's been cautioned on their yellow card. What they do is they put a sticker on every time they have a game. The danger of that is, and the danger of that is you actually pull a yellow and it you've not got the history and all that goes with it. So think carefully about your administration. We used to have a referee called Neil Barry. Neil Barry, in fact, finished up on the IFAB committee and head of refereeing at the FA. And he was meticulous in his cautioning procedure. What is your name? Even though he'd got in front of him an international player, he would ask, what is your name? Get confirmation, write it in a book. He's got the history. It could be number 9, Smith, UB, unsporting behaviour, whatever, shorthand, but he had that in his book, and then he would produce the card. Now, modern refereeing, they produce the yellow cards, but in the case of Bramall, he's not looked.
Yeah.
And this is the danger.
I did see something somewhere that said if you take your time to write the name of the player or write his initials or whatever, that allows other players to get involved, where the argument for sticking it up immediately and then doing the admin was that the other players who may feel like retaliating can see that the referee's in charge and he's taking action immediately, and that happens. Tends to quell down the
I mean, the procedure that's adopted in the PGMOL is that if a player commits that offence that he may think, oops, with players surrounding, it could be a red, then the referee will actually pull the yellow card out of his pocket and hold it down by his side rather than in the air, and then administer the yellow card. This is really to prevent a player who thinks he's going to get a red causing further chaos. And so, again, I think this is about a simple process, isn't it? The use of a red and yellow card. But basic refereeing comes out again. And basic refereeing was not applied by Thomas Bramall, and it put him in jail at the elite level of the game that's beamed around the world. That he suddenly didn't realise that the yellow card that he'd issued to the player, Gudmundsson, in fact, was his second. And fortunately, and we can praise here, because either his assistant referee or the fourth official or VAR off the record has whispered in his ear. And this again highlights the role of the assistant referee and the fourth official recording what the referee is doing from a disciplinary point of view on the field of play.
Yeah.
Don't take it for granted that you can remember, because, get into the reality. It's only last year when Anthony Taylor in a Premier League game issued 15 yellow cards.
Oh my God, I don't remember
that. Let us be quite clear. When you watch Taylor, his administration and application of issuing a yellow card is very clear in terms of a process. And he's not gonna fall for that. I've missed somebody. He knows when he's got the yellow card that this is a second yellow card and followed by a red.
I remember when I was starting off, the old days, I'm sure you might have been the same. We used to say, give 3 yellow cards, the next one's red regardless, because you could end up with a situation where you're booking every single player, because the players will get together and say, I'm not going to tackle him this time because I've been booked. You tackle him and you get a yellow, and that sort of thing. And that can tend to happen where the players can get together. Well, I've been booked, so you tackle them. You
Yeah,
hit 'em,
exactly.
you know,
Well,
so-
I'm a little older than you then, Errol, because I mean I can remember refereeing without red and yellow cards.
oh, so can I, Keith. They only came in '66, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in the English game it might have been 1970, something like that.
Oh, wasn't it Ken Byrne who was driving home after the World Cup? The
It was Ken
1966 World Cup.
Aston. Ken Aston.
Ken Aston.
Yeah.
And he thought, how do you communicate with international players? So, and getting back to what you said there earlier, Keith, how do you ask an international player for his name? No speak English, no speak, how do you- and that's
Yeah.
why I think they brought in the red and yellow cards. And apparently Ken Aston, I was reading about that, he was driving
Yes.
home and he was stopped at the traffic lights.
You're absolutely correct. I can verify that. Ken was a friend. We were, I worked in Romford for a number of years, so I was a member of Romford RA, and so was Ken Aston. And I often sat at the side of him and listened to his myriad of stories, and of course the scenario was in '66. People can go back on YouTube. Argentina, a player called Ratin was dismissed by the referee. No red and yellow cards then, and he wouldn't go.
He was Jewish referee, I think, wasn't he? He was from Israel, I think.
Then Ken Aston was the coordinator for FIFA at Wembley, obviously an Englishman, and he was asked to, and he eventually went on the field of play and escorted Ratin off, literally pulled him off. And you're right. Then he was driving from school. He was a headmaster at school. Stopped at a set of traffic lights. Had that moment, and that was then when he went to FIFA. His friends, Sir Stanley Rouse, they were very close friends.
Right.
Accepted what he said, and some years later, it was adopted.
Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It breaks down the language barrier where people say, I don't understand, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Just a few minutes left, Keith. There's some recommendations to come, or they're being recommended at the moment, particularly substitutions. Players not leaving will have to leave the play whenever this is implemented. Will have to leave the play within 10 seconds. Otherwise, the player they're replacing or the player coming on will have to wait a minute before he can come on. You agree with that?
I think that the life of a referee gets ever more complicated.
Oh, yeah.
If we look at the law as it currently stands, the player coming onto the field of play the substitution is concluded at the point that the player goes off and the other player comes on. Yeah. And so they've ignored that bit and said, right, what we'll do is introduce the minute. And what it will do is it will increase the tension of the management team of the substituted player, and the fourth official will face greater problems of dealing with conflict that's been created by this change of law. So I would just have said, look, gentlemen, if the substitution is not taking place in an appropriate amount of time, then the offender is the person that's leaving the field of play, not the one that's coming on. He receives a caution, a yellow card. If they want to take the other view, they could actually say, because the substitution is not taking place within a certain time frame, then just give the manager a yellow card. He's the guy in charge of the procedure, if you like, in terms of his team. He's the guy, and I bet you that'll resolve the issues that we currently have. Yeah. And the complication that they bring in to the laws of the game do not help the current crop of referees, and certainly can you imagine you're You're refereeing a grassroots game. You've got 40, 50 parents down one touchline, and their son, Johnny's going to come on. And because his mate has taken his time walking off, Johnny's got to wait a minute and the game commences. Now, the game commences. Does he come on at the next stoppage, or do you, 1 minute later, signal for him to come on? And if you do, has he completed a jewelry check and a stud check and any other implements that he might be carrying on? It's not thought through from a practical point of view. They sit around a table and they think they've got a simple answer, but I'm giving you in a minute more reasons that complicate it and make it more difficult for that young referee in the park setting off on his career.
We've got lots more. The other one changes, which we'll discuss next week, the corner kicks and throw-ins and so on.
Yes.
But that's it for this week. Thanks very much again, Keith, for joining me. Great to have you. And thank you out there for watching.
Good to see the name of George Nugent.
Say again?
Good to see a guy from Cal South coming on, George Nugent, who's a great referee.
Oh, you know George. Okay.
Yeah, great referee.
And thanks, Don, for your comments as well. And thank you out there for watching. Until next Monday, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Bye-bye, and God bless.
Bye.
Thank you.